Hi, we're going to take a look at Objective 5, Evaluating an Expression. And the first thing we want to understand is what an expression is, because a lot of times we will see the term expression and we will see the term equation, and we'll get the two of these terms mixed up. So our first example asks us to evaluate the following expression. So expression here allows us to understand that we're dealing with a bunch of terms with variables without an equal sign. As soon as we add an equal sign and some other terms or values after that equal sign, we're looking at an equation. But for these problems, we are not looking at equations, we're looking at expressions. So it will be some terms linked together with some variables in them without an equal sign. So our first one here is asking us to evaluate the expression 3x squared minus 2x plus 6 when x is equal to 6. So what that means is for every x value, here's one right there, and here's one right there. For each of these x values, we're going to be putting in the number 6. So I have 3, and then I will have 6, and that will be squared. And then what I will do, I have a minus 2. I am multiplying that by an x, which is now 6, and then I add 6 at the end. And order of operations tells us first that we're wanting to deal with these exponents here. So before we multiply the 3 and the 6, that's multiplication division, we want to deal with our exponents. So just a quick reminder, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Okay, so this is parentheses. We do anything in parentheses first. This is exponents. So if you have anything to the third or fourth or fifth or second power, we do that second. Multiplication and division, we will then do it in any order. And then lastly, addition and subtraction are what we would do last. So let's have a look at what we can do first. I have a 6 squared, and since we do exponents before we multiply, I'm going to do my squaring there, and I get 36. It's multiplied by the 3 out front. I then have a negative 2 times 6, and I'm adding 6 here at the end. So here I then look, I have multiplication here, I have subtraction here. Remember, I do multiplication and division before I do addition subtraction. So here I have 108, 3 times 36 is 108, and I'm going to take away 2 times 6, which is 12, so I do my multiplication first, and then I'm going to add 6. All right, so my final answer is 108, take away 12, add 6, and I end up with a final answer of 102. When you simplify an expression and you're putting a value in, when you evaluate it and you come up with a final answer, it will be a number. Instead of like x equals or z equals, all you're doing is getting a final answer. Let's look at our second problem here. It says evaluate 2w minus 8 plus 6 when w is negative 4. So what that means is for all my w's, I'm going to put in the value negative 4. So I put it in here. It's going to be 2 times negative 4, take away 8, and then I'm going to add 6. So going back to our orders of operation over here, I want to always be doing parentheses first. So notice I have a big set of parentheses right here. And that's where I look. I always look on the inside of those guys. And on the inside there, I've got a multiplication with my 2 and my 4, and then I've got an addition subtraction. So going back to my order of operations again, I always multiply before I add or subtract. So I have a negative 8. 2 times a negative 4 is a negative 8 minus 8, and I'm still inside my parentheses, plus 6. Okay, so again, I'm still going inside my parentheses and I'm working this out. I have a negative 8 and I'm going to go back another 8, so I end up at negative 16. And that's taking care of my parentheses. Now I can jump outside and I can add 6. So if I'm in the hole $16 and somebody gives me $6, I'm still in the hole, but I'm at negative 10. Okay, so my final answer here is negative 10. In this third example here, we're going to evaluate an expression again, and this time we're dealing with a fraction bar. Okay, so here's my expression, x cubed minus 4 divided by x plus 6. I'm going to evaluate this expression for x as being negative 2. So instead of x to the third, I'm going to rewrite it as negative 2 to the third power. I'm going to take away 4, and that's in the numerator. The denominator has an x, which will be a negative 2, and a plus 6. The best thing to do when you're evaluating expressions with fractions in them is to do the numerator by itself and do the denominator by itself, and then get your final answer. So in the numerator, I'm going to use my exponents again. Remember, I do exponents over here before I do addition and subtraction. So negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2 is a negative 8. And then I'm subtracting 4. And that's going to be all divided by a negative 2 plus a 6. So one more time, I'm going to do my upstairs again. Negative 8, take away 4, I'm at negative 12. And in my denominator, the downstairs, negative 2 plus 6 is 4. Since this is not simplified, let's try to simplify this fraction. I've got a negative 12 in the numerator and I have a 4 in the denominator. So it looks like we can divide the top number by 4 and we can divide the bottom number also by 4. And when we do that, we end up with a negative 3 divided by 1, or a final answer of negative 3.